Hello, and welcome to my universe. So, today, let's see, first I kind of noticed that there was an issue with the face. I like where I'm going with it, but the mouth has some problems, and I don't think it's actually the fault of the mouth, which is maybe a little odd to say, but if I were to go and hide the face shadows here, her losing her nose aside, it's like I already think it looks a lot better. So I think part of the problem is just that when I have this on, it starts melding with the side of her face and just makes her mouth look like this big gaping maw, and also shifts it to the right and makes things look off balance. So I don't think I can quite get away with this. I was able to do it on Malice because she had her teeth together, so... And also had hair on the side, like this, going all the way around, as opposed to a shadowed spot where it was kind of going behind her head. So there were some differences here, and this is why I wanted to work with the style multiple times before I started doing it quickly, because there were little nuances that come up when you least expect it. So what I think I have to do is, first of all, I need a little bit of skin tone on the side here. I'm actually not quite sure how that's going to work. So I'll try it like this for now. I just need a little something here, putting something between the shadows that are going to be like underneath her head, on the hair, and all of that, so that this way it's a little bit more clear where her head is and where it is not. Sometimes I've been able to get that whole thing where the shadows just start melding together with everything, and I think it can actually look really cool when it's done well, but it's not working for me here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of separation to, hopefully make it clear where her head is and where it is not, where her mouth is and where it's not, and, all that good stuff. I'm not quite sure I'm going to do that yet, but... because it's a little awkward, because I don't think there's going to be any black there. I guess there could be black here. Yeah, okay. You know what? I'm just going to make the executive decision to go all the way to the edge, and there will be black areas all around it, from the head casting shadows places. And any place where it currently is not like that is gonna be something that is fixed later, when I go ahead and render that part. Let me see, I'm running right? Yeah, okay, good. OBS telling me things. So that's the plan here. It's like, I don't know, when I was looking at it today, the mouth and the head just felt very strange to me. So I am hopeful that just adding this little bit of light will fix it. Kind of similar to how it fixed the eyes for me. Because I do remember having to do that with Malice when I was first working on her. Because I looked at her eyes and I'm just like, these are not nearly impressive enough. And they're just kind of blending in with everything, and, that can be fine sometimes, but it's really not working for me here. I want to do a full minimalist drawing at some point. One where I actually do kind of want things to blend together and use some cool optical illusions and stuff. I'm not sure what I should do for that, though. I'll have to think about it. But I feel like it's been a while since I've drawn, like, a true minimalism. And I think it can be very cool when done right. Okay. So, last time when I said that I didn't really have to care about the other side of the mouth because it was just going to meld into the shadows, this is no longer true. So, I'm gonna go ahead and render out the mouth here. That means we hide the head shadows for a bit. just so I can get the mouth looking good on the other side. I need her nose. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna reduce the opacity of this. There we go. Now I can see where her nose is, and I'll be able to adjust her mouth accordingly. Yeah, the hazard of basically having the nose be created via shadow, just like that. It's okay, looks cool. So, no regrets, I just have to work around it. And I'll fix her teeth and whatnot afterward. Okay, so how does this need to be working out? In fact, I think I'm gonna have to change a lot of things about her teeth. That's fine. Humu. Okay. So I think at this angle, I'm not sure if I want it to go out like this or if I want it to kind of come in and down. Because this might also look quite good. Actually, yeah, I think it does. Let me zoom out. You know what? I should be zooming out and getting the big picture. So I can do it like this. Or I can do it like this, where I just let it be rounded. Which do I like more? Let me think about it for a second. Digital is great for this. I do think that even for traditional artists, digital has a place, even if it's not your main medium. Just in being able to do like a rapid prototyping and iteration. So that's where you can, for example, do what I'm doing here. Maybe make a quick change. Just take a picture of your painting with your phone, make a couple of quick changes, and decide which option you like better. Or alternatively, upload your finished picture, your finished painting, and quickly change colors, for example. Try out some different color schemes. Maybe do some edits on lighting and see any particular changes you might like. I think I like this one. Okay. Yeah, and that kind of thing. So because I do think digital's greatest strength just lies in its raw ability to let you experiment. It takes considerably more effort to do, I guess, what amounts to A/B testing with traditional. Because, I mean, you gotta repaint the whole thing, as opposed to just plop a couple of filters down and ta-da, you get to do some science. So while I'm not sure if it would necessarily have a place in every traditional painter's process, I think it could have a place in learning and trying some stuff. And I think there's a lot to be said for just being able to get, like, instant feedback on things. Even if you don't necessarily want to be a digital painter. Let's see, I do feel like I need a little flat spot there somewhere. Just trying to find it. Okay, let me zoom out again. No, this is tilted too far now. Okay, but I know how to fix that. Just gotta push this side in a little bit more. The perspective is a little bit weird, as you might imagine, considering that I drew this whole thing being like, hey, let's draw some weird perspective. It's okay. I have no regrets. I like weird perspective, and I want to draw it more. And I want to get really good at it. Like, really, really good. So I'm gonna practice it as much as I can. Oh, incidentally, speaking of things I want to practice, I have finished my first and what I hope to be a, weekly or bi-weekly. Bi-weekly meaning twice a week in this case. Not every other week. Off-stream drawing. So I'm hoping that I will be able to upload some nice things for you all. Twice a week. And I have finished the first one. So that'll be a twice a week, if not more. I plan to upload the time-lapse after stream today. And I'm very excited about that. I hope to draw many, many nice things. And I was on the fence about this for a long time, but I am starting to plan some tutorials. I want to kind of map out where I'm going and probably write some scripts, so I think it'll be a little bit before the first one comes out. But I want to write some tutorials on things that I don't see people cover. I see people covering technique and whatnot, but I'd like to talk about some other things that I see talked about less. And for me, I think... I'm trying to think of the right words here. Bear with me for a moment. Basically, I see a lot of people talking about fundamentals. So there's a lot of people that put out tutorials on fundamentals and stuff. So I feel like anybody that wants to brush up with their fundamentals or just learn them. Oh, hello there, Tim. Oh, welcome. I was just talking about my ideas for a potential tutorial series at some point. I just observed that a lot of people, that they'll put up tutorials about fundamentals and whatnot. So I feel like anybody that wants to learn their fundamentals, their art fundamentals, there's lots of resources to help them do that. But I see less on why we use certain things, on why they're done and what they can do for you, and even just very, very simple things you can do for your pictures to make them a little bit better. I'm not sure if this will be a great series for raw beginners who have never drawn before. But I think it might be people that are starting to kind of get the hang of certain things and just don't know where to go from here. And that's kind of my goal. I feel like the beginner crowd is very well covered. But if there are any tutorials that any of you would like to see, feel free to, drop them in the comments, send me a marshmallow, whatever. Just let me know somehow, and I will keep it in mind. The tutorial may not take a form that you're expecting, but I will absolutely keep in mind what people want to see and what people are struggling with. Okay. So now I just gotta finish off this mouth here. I really did think that I would just be able to hide like half of it effectively. Then just let it fade into the shadows of her face, but I don't know, it just doesn't look good. Too ambiguous. In a bad way. It just didn't work for me. Okay. But there we go. Almost through it all. This is why I was able to zoom back in now. And I'm being careful about how it interacts with her hair here. I don't want them to share a corner. That would just look awkward. So I'm gonna trim it back a little bit just so they don't. I was talking about ambiguity here, with everything fading into the shadow. This kind of gray part here is normally at 100% opacity. And sharing a corner like that would, once again, make the edges of things ambiguous again, so I'm trying to avoid it. Okay. So, I'm just working out all the curves here. As always, for this particular style that I'm doing, there are no curves allowed here, only straight lines allowed. So I gotta make sure there's nothing round. It is a deliberate choice here. Normally, round stuff is great. It's just not what I want for this specific style. This style is all about being extra dramatic about everything. So, straight lines in weird places. I just feel like it makes everything that much more dramatic. Okay, there we go. I still feel like this part right here is a little bit more curved than I want, so some curvedness may be a little bit inevitable with just how I draw things, but I'm gonna try to work as much of it out as I can. Okay. Now I just gotta fix up the teeth. I moved things around a little bit trying to fix all this. That just kind of worked out this way. And then, once I'm done with this, I'll go ahead, turn and put a nice little light line around the mouth. So this way, it still kind of fades into the shadows somewhat, but it just won't meld together with them and make her mouth look abnormally large, even by the abnormally large mouth I want standards. Fortunately, hand not on point today, so it's going to be doing its best. That's alright. Just means I gotta be a little bit more deliberate and a little bit more careful. I want this top line of the mouth here to be really thick, so that this way it'll look like a nice cast shadow over the teeth. Some of the ones a little bit later might end up a little bit thinner. I haven't decided yet. I'll see what I think looks good. And I have personally just found that overemphasizing the Cupid's bow on the lip, so, this part here, makes the expression look a little bit more unhinged, so I'll be overemphasizing that with the teeth, too. Yes, there we go. There we go. Alright, so I think I finished most of her head last time. Aside from some parts that I just intend to do a little bit later, like this hair back here, for example. I think I'd like to get the rest of her hair after I do her hands, since her hands cover part of that. So I think once I finish up her mouth here, and any other changes I want to be making to her head, that I'm gonna go ahead and render out the spoon and the cake. I am looking forward to that. I still think that the spoon here, you can see it in the thumbnail, I think it looks really good. I really like where I'm going with it. Like, right now, it's messy and unrefined, but I can see the vision, so I am super excited to make that one happen. I have been really looking forward to it. Not enough to make me stop doing the face, because faces are like the best part. They are my favorite thing to render. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be great. Okay. Okay, so first things first, I gotta move the shadow over here, so this way it lines up with the center of her mouth. And then I'll give her, like, I guess a hint of an upper lip. Let's see, upper lips would normally be in shadow, so I want it to be fairly thin here. I don't want it to show too much. And then I'll just follow the curve of the mouth. Gonna try to stay relatively clean here. I'm not exactly succeeding, but that's okay. Okay. Gotta follow it around. Oh yeah, and down here needs to be adjusted as well. There we go, since I did move her mouth a little bit to the right there. There we go. Okay. Okay, I think that should be pretty okay. I just kind of need to fix it up, although, ooh. Okay, I think the side of the head looks okay, but it's still not quite doing it. Ooh boy. Outlining the mouth did not fix my problem. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. It fixed the problem I was trying to solve. The mouth no longer looks like it's melding with the shadows here, and thus looks whiter and like it's kind of absorbing her entire face. Like, that's not happening anymore, but I still don't think it looks good. So, that's still an issue. Okay. So I gotta try some things. Okay, okay. Yeah, because the teeth still show the end of the mouth here. This does mean that I over-rendered it, but that's fine. Okay. So I'll test things while I'm zoomed out. So this way I can see the whole picture and how this is being affected. And then I'm not going to worry about this looking maybe a tad silly. I think it'll look better once her body's on. If I am wrong, I will adjust it then. But okay, this is looking better. So the problem was just that I did it for the corner too. The corner can meld with the shadows and look okay. You know, good to know. This is ultimately still me experimenting with a new style. So there's a lot to learn. I think her eyes still look pretty good. I think deliberately making things different sizes worked in my favor. Okay, yeah. I think this works. Cool. So I'm gonna go zoom in and kind of touch up my lines here. Because I think there's lines. Blobs of shadow. I'm gonna touch up the blobs of shadow. Still a little messy. And I think I'm still gonna save hair highlights for after I finish her little side hairs down here. But I would like to do her hand before I do those. And I've got a fly buzzing around in my face, and it's annoying me so much. Oh god. For a second there, I thought it was just like, you know, eye floaters. I have a slight problem with those, but no, it's a fly. And it's trying to get up my nose. I don't know why it wants to go up there. I don't think I want to know, but nonetheless. Okay, I'm gonna keep my drawings then, and continue to smooth things out despite the fly buzzing in my face. Consider it brain training. Just further forcing my brain to do what I want it to do instead of what happens to be bothering it at the moment. Oh yeah, you know, speaking of that, I have decided that Wednesday is going to be writing day. I want to kind of dedicate a couple of days for very specific tasks that I want to do. So Wednesday is going to be writing day. I haven't quite decided when my game design day is going to be, but I will figure out how to design Phase Connect Tower Defense. So this way I can actually start making that. Alright. There we go. Yeah, I think that looks a little better. Give her body back, and I think this will all look better once I get some dark shadows underneath. Okay. I want to do a little bit more science with her eyes. I did say that they look fine, but you know, science. Okay. Gotta keep trying things. I'm gonna try to put a few just thick lines around certain parts of the eyelashes here to kind of represent shadows from hair. And I just want to see if that looks good or not. Okay, and that's somewhere on a different layer. And maybe it looks good some places, but not others. That's also very possible. But I'll go ahead and give it a try. Okay, so I think I did that in few enough strokes that I can kind of go back and get my A/B testing going. Okay. Yes, I did. Oh yeah, that's fantastic. Okay. Yeah, I don't have to insist on going all the way around things. Okay. This is what I would describe as extremely successful science. It's kind of teaching me the nature of how I see things in this style. So even though, you know, I said I was going to move on to the spoon, it's like, you gotta put everything you can into the face. The face is really important. Oh god, but that just looks so good. It's such a subtle change, but it is so good. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm really glad I tried it. Okay. So, I think that looks pretty good. She'll get some hair highlights at some point. But I think I can get behind this. Certain parts of her... does it still look a little weird? Something still feels off, and I'm not quite sure what it is. It's always rough, and I feel like something is still a little bit off, but I don't know what. I think her head might just be a little top-heavy. Okay, gotta do one more little bit of science here. I'm gonna take just all of this, I think. Let's see. From probably about here, actually. And I'm gonna move it over a little. Okay, I'll have to touch up the edges, but let me make sure that I like what I've got before I start worrying too much about that. Yeah, I think her head is just a little top-heavy. And that was probably throwing off the way things felt in the mouth as well. I think it's probably just some more leftover issues from when I was trying to go for a slightly more fisheye perspective here. I probably don't want it to go out that far, actually. Okay, this means I'm gonna have to touch up the hair again. But you know, such is life. Okay, even before touching up, let's see if that fixed my problem. So here... 100 times better. Not even a question. Alright. Well, always sad when I have to go touch things up again, but as always, it's worth it. I want the thing to look good. And if something is a little bit off, I think it is worth fixing, especially if it's near the face. Because, yeah, her head just felt kind of big. I do want the top of her head to feel a little bit big, just due to, you know, weird perspective shenanigans. But that was pushing it. It felt wrong to me. And at some point, I might see if I want to put some additional highlights in her eyes. I remember trying to do that a lot when I was drawing Malice. But, it just never looked good when I did it with her. So, very possible I just leave it very simple like this. I've actually been trying to teach myself a lot lately that sometimes less is more, and simplifying things, even in my more complicated drawings, is very much worthwhile. And this drawing is like actively trying to be simple, just with a little bit of a bizarre perspective on it. Okay, I better hide this for a second, and also that. Oh no, I accidentally cut off the tips of her hair. Oh, that's so sad. Oh well. I'll put them back. Okay. Oh man. That was a little bit sad to lose. Okay, let's start patching up all these holes here. Let's see, her body's in the way too. Get out of here. Okay, but that was actually head shadows. So that's gotta get out of here, too. Where'd you go? I've got too many freaking layers, I swear. There we go. I'll just take my word for it that I needed a line there. And I guess I'm starting here. You know what? It sounds good to me. I think I want to continue all the way down to this point. Keep it straight. And then apparently this side is already bordering a black line below it. So it does not need a line. And so it's gonna look a little weird, but that's okay. Everything will look right once I turn all the layers back on. Okay, here we go. Time to fix this guy. What a mess. It's true, you know, you can't escape the messiness even with digital. I might not get any paint or other art supplies on my fingers. But the process is still messy. Just, you know, more metaphorical. Okay. Yes, Wednesday is now writing day, and I definitely have to up my focus and my stamina when writing. I still get many a brain worm, and my brain worms have been especially bad lately for just about everything, frankly. But it's okay, it comes with the territory. I actually, unironically, quite literally think it does, because art is extremely subjective, and it's kind of hard to know sometimes if what you're doing is good or not, because I actually tried to write a little bit about it yesterday, just in like a journal, and I was like, okay, well, if I'm worried that my stuff isn't good, what is good? And I tried to define it. Crickets happened. I really couldn't do it. Because I reject the notion that, you know, it's good if people like it. Like, no. People like lots of things that I consider bad, and people dislike lots of things I consider good. This has always been pretty normal. And I just don't think that there's really an objective definition for what is good and what is not. I don't know, an opinion that is there or not. But regardless. Hello again, John. Welcome back. It's like, I wouldn't say that that the opinion is alive or dead at the same time. It's just not there. So, I wasn't able to define it. And frankly, that thought experiment for myself actually kind of helped me feel better about things, so there you go. It's so funny because I feel like early on in my art journey, it was pretty easy for me to define what I thought was good and what was not, because I wasn't very good at expressing what I wanted to express at first. A lot of my faces just had the uncanny valley effect and a bunch of these other things. Poses were stiff and some of this other stuff, so I could say, yes, fixing my poses would make it better. Or, you know, doing this, that, or the other thing would make it better. And it was really easy. But I could do that to some extent. I can sometimes find it. But it's becoming less... something that I can do less and less consistently. Where it's just like, I feel like something's off, and I don't know why. But I think at some point, I might be able to identify at least some of those things and patch some of that up. But even if I can't, even if it starts getting into the very subjective territory, I can probably still solve nasty little brain worms to some extent. They don't belong here. Gotta kick them out. I've had a couple of people ask me how to stop feeling self-conscious about these things, and I'm just like, it never goes away. You just gotta get used to it. You just gotta believe. And I'm pretty sure that if you can't sit with it, you can just not be an artist, basically. Okay. And that goes for any kind of creative work, for that matter. Oh, lovely. Okay. As I'm feeling it with my writing, too. And I don't think that will ever go away. At least based on my experience with how art is going, I don't think that feeling will ever go away. Sometimes you just gotta pat the brainworms on the head and say, yes, hello again. Please get out. So yeah, I completely changed the angle of this bit of hair here, so now this line is totally wrong. It used to be the cast shadow for where all this fell, and now I just gotta kinda clean it out and draw it again. Having to adjust hair after I've rendered it is like the saddest thing. Okay. Okay, but you know, there's not that much difference. Let's make that good, and I'll add another strand just because I think it looks nice. And now this area actually is not just totally covered in shadow anymore, so I think he's gonna need some extra strands too, and I actually don't think this one looks good anymore. Not with how much is actually showing here. Let me see, so which way are you going? You're kind of wrapping around that way, so that means this hair is doing something like this. Okay, so that should be good. I think I want the shadow to be a little thicker, though. I want this one to be nice and juicy. Okay. There we go. And now I should be able to give her her nose back and her body back. Yeah, and I think that looks a lot better. It's like her head is... Oh, the top of her head is still pretty big. Compared to the bottom. But again, I wanted to do some weird perspective stuff. And I think this works with how I have the perspective on the spoon. I hope that it works. So... We'll see how it works when I start putting more things together. I like stretching perfection. I think it's a good time. All right, let's draw a spoon. First, I think I'm gonna move her a little bit to the left and just kind of give myself a little bit more space. She may or may not stay here, but right now I have that extra space right there from her apron. Thing the furthest over. Oh, okay, hold on. I have to do that again. Unlock the transparency mask. Let it move too. Okay. There we go. Yeah, now I have a little bit more space to do things here. And since I plan on making this image transparent at the end, I don't think I really have to worry that much about things kind of rubbing up on the edge here. Okay. Where am I going with this? Let's see. I think her body's still in the way, actually, so I'm still gonna hide that. Okay, I hate scrolling through all my head layers. There we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna focus on this part of the spoon for now, and the cake. I guess I should actually do the cake first. Yes. We will do the cake first. So for this particular style, I like to use very few colors. So that's why the cake and the spoon are the same color. They're both supposed to be, you know, subshaded gold. And I think I'll just have the black parts on the spoon. So I'm not going to worry about drawing the lines around anything yet. But I will just flood this whole area with blacks. This way I have plenty of space to work with. And then I can make it look nice after. Once I know where the cake will be sitting. So just trying to get that nice and straight here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, I think. So far, I think that the cake looks pretty good. I just gotta smooth it out. Okay, then there's a little... You know what? I'm actually gonna invert the colors of this. Just so that this way, the black lines around things will turn white. And I can see it against the spoon, because I do think it makes sense for there to be... for us to see just a little tiny sliver of this side. It's like pointing right at us. Pointing right at the viewer, so I think it makes sense for us to see a little bit of this side and none of the back side. So I want to emphasize that a little bit more. Let's see, do I like that angle? Yes, okay. I was looking right here and I was debating on whether or not I liked that it was somewhat skewed, basically, and not straight up and down, or close to it. But no, I think this is perfect. Okay. I think I'm gonna go do the frosting now. Let's get this thing making sense structurally. Once again, I think I'm gonna handle the black lines on the spoon layer itself. So we're gonna flood this backside with black here. Over here too. It's just all gonna be black. And I'm not gonna do any black lines on the cake or the frosting. So let's get all the black out of there, at least around the edge. Right through here, for example, there will be black. But over here, there will be no black. I will rely on the layers below it to define its black outline. I think that'll be easier than trying to paint a bunch of black lines while I'm trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing here. Okay. I think it might be premature to be trying to get this clean. So I'm not going to try. In fact, I should zoom out. At least a little. Like I said, I think we see a sliver of the side of the cake here. So this will kind of come down like this. All this will be blue, which will later turn yellow. The blue is just there for my convenience for the time being. Let's see, no, this is not the right spot. Frosting might need to come out a little bit more. I'm not quite sure. This is just... I had it good enough for a while, but this is where I have to actually make sure that it all makes sense. Or at least as much sense as things can make when I'm doing weird perspective shenanigans. Let's see, this will come out like this. Come in like this. And it's a triangle, so they'll kind of meet together, I think. Okay, I gotta draw this. I gotta draw it out here. So we have a cake. This would be directly from the top. It's just a triangle. Then from the side, it's gonna be a square. Put those together. And let's see, so I'll draw my triangle. This is without the perspective, the weird perspective. So we get something like that. We're seeing it kind of head on. So I kind of want the point coming this way. So it's like this, basically. Just a little bit more this direction. So weird liquefied lines aside, it's kind of like that. Let's see if I can draw it just out on its own here. I needed to understand what I'm trying to do. We have here. So kind of like that, just, you know, better. Okay. Planckera's brain is now loading. Perspective is hard. So I'm going to try to get my triangle in. Okay, so far so good. There will be no cake back there. Normally this would go like straight down. That's why I said at the beginning, you know, do I like this angle or should it be more like this? But I think I like the weird skew to it. Maybe bring it down just a little bit more, but the weird skew to it I think helps aid in the weird fisheye perspective I'm going for. Okay, this is just what happens when you stretch your limits. It's hard. But every time I do stuff like this, think about it, flail a lot. I will draw it a little bit better next time. And it'll get a little bit easier. Incidentally, I've seen a lot of artists, at least when they're on stream, tend to draw stuff that they're very comfortable with. And I don't do this. No. I draw the weird thing. I try to stretch my limits as much as I can. And I actually feel like, you know, when I'm out here just trying to make sense of what's going on, that I can talk about more interesting things. I don't think this, you know, makes me a better art streamer or anything. It's just my taste. But when I'm actually trying really hard, I feel like I do a better job of describing what I'm trying to do. Trying to figure out just how much of this we see. Because, like, this is the side. So, you know what? Maybe what I want to do, actually. Let's point you a little further this way. Okay. So this would be the top of my triangle in my silly little diagrams. But I like doing new things. And I like trying out some weird stuff. I think it's fun. You guys can watch me struggle. Okay, and then if I, like, pull this part just backwards a little bit, so that this way it's the size I want it to be. I think this is pointing a slightly better direction now. See, this is why I've been looking forward to the cake. I get to flail. I get to see the cool thing that I've been planning in my head for a while. Hide the strawberries for a little bit. Okay, and then the white line indicating the plane change is going to be here now. I feel like this corner, let me look at where it is here, should be lower. Maybe not. That doesn't look right. I do use perspective grids occasionally, but for simple items like this, I don't. And frankly, I'm not actually sure how to use a perspective grid for fisheye. I know you just kind of curve the lines more. You know, I should learn how to do that. That seems like a good idea. And then the next time I do some weird fisheye stuff, maybe I can be a little bit more structural in my approach. I'll read up on that at some point. That sounds fun. No, this angle's still wrong. Okay, I think that's getting somewhere. Kind of alternating between line and blob here. And it's gonna look a little weird no matter what I do because, you know, I want it to. But I want it to be the right kind of weird. I don't want the Uncanny Valley weird. I want it to look like that cake It's coming right for us. It's gonna go, like, right into your mouth whether you like it or not. So... I want it to really come forward quite a lot. Yeah. I'm getting somewhere. I'm getting somewhere here. Gonna zoom out a little, but no, I think this is right. And then it comes back over there. Maybe just a... Let me see. Where's the corner of this? So this is skewing down like this. This one would skew down kind of like this. I don't think we'd necessarily see the entirety of this size, so I'm going to push it down just a little bit more, and then it'll come in over here. No. Hello there, cakes. Oh, congrats. Glad you found something that works. Oh man, that point always feels really good. When you're finally able to figure out something that works for you. Oh man, I remember how happy I was when I figured out that I found it way easier to just start painting right away, rather than sketching out lines. Because I tried for so long to sketch out with lines, because I thought that, you know, it's just what you do. But I don't know, the way I do things now works so much better for me. So I'm so happy for you, friend. I mean, it's faster than I did it. Okay, I think I actually want this to be a little flatter. Let the point be right there. Yeah. Okay, how are we doing? Oh, that looks good. Okay, I think I can smooth that out. I'm still gonna smooth it out in blue, because I think it'll be easier, but I'm gonna go ahead and start with the frosting here. Let's see, get rid of this residue in the back. And let's make the frosting look nice. I don't, well... Okay, I was gonna say, I don't think I want it to be quite this geometric, but then I remember it's this style. So yes, I do. Straight lines only. I almost put in curved lines again. It's like, my god, brain. You... If I am ever just even remotely absent-minded while drawing in this style, I am gonna put so many curved lines in places that I'm gonna have to go back and fix them, and I'm gonna scold my autopilot brain. Autopilot is dangerous. Straight lines only. Okay. No curves allowed. All Alrighty. Okay. So I think that looks good. So now I'll go ahead and do the same thing for the cake. Then I can start inverting the colors back and all that good stuff, and it'll be wonderful. I'm not gonna plop the lines from the frosting on this cake just yet, because right now I have the colors inverted, so I'd have to do it in white, and trying to do white lines against a white thing would be an absolute nightmare, so I'll do it a little later, once it's black again. Okay. One moment, got a cough here. There we go. Not sick, but the cold is still making me slightly phlegmy. Okay. Alright, just one more edge, and then I want to get this line nice and smooth. Well, yeah, I think I'll make the line smooth before I invert the colors again. I was thinking about it, since I'd have to be sending a white line into a white thing, but if I do it the other way, I'd be sending a black line into a black thing anyway, so might as well do it now. Okay, it's a little rough there. Let's smooth it out just a little bit more. Had to focus on this line. This one is long, and I want the whole thing to be very, very straight lines. Still very difficult. Okay, before I perfect the point, I'm going to go ahead and get this line in here. I want it to be thin. It's an interior line, so I don't want it to be super thick. Just showing the kinda weird fisheye perspective on the cake, because it's got to point right at us, so it looks a little weird. Been playing kind of an interesting browser game lately called Terraform Mental. Just one of those things that when I'm too brain dead to do a bunch of reading, sometimes I'll just open up a little browser game or something. And this one's kind of neat, where you're kind of exploring what appears to be a abandoned terraforming complex. And you gotta keep yourself alive while uncovering the mysteries of what the heck is going on there, and it's pretty neat. Rather than just being ye old a basic survival game, or it's kind of done. It's an incremental game, I'd call it. So kind of adjacent to idle games, but not exactly, because there's a lot of kind of interesting decisions that you make here to try to get yourself enough stuff to survive long enough to figure some stuff out. So it's pretty cool. Unfortunately, it's in development, so I get the feeling I'm going to hit the end of the content, and there's going to be this big cliffhanger, and I'm going to be like, ah! I've already hit a point where it said, yeah, you can't take this action because it's not going to be here until a later release, and I'm just like, oh no. I'm so sad now. That's alright. I wish the developer of the game all the best. He's done some good stuff so far. Okay, so now I just want to line this corner up with the edge of the cake. We'll see how it all works out. This has been my struggle in finding games to play while I watch my kids. In that a lot of I need to be able to get up at a moment's notice. So I need to be able to drop anything. Or drop everything. And a lot of games don't really allow for that. But on top of that, a lot of the games that do allow for that tend to be like super boring and brain dead. And while I do think it can be fun being a little bit brain dead sometimes, I don't really like it. It's not my thing. So I've been, you know, struggling to find games that I can both drop very quickly, but require enough focus to keep me interested. Because how much attention the kids want varies a lot, and, you know, some days I want to read instead, because I've been trying to read more books. So I'll also, you know, never pick a game with daily login stuff. Never. Never again. Okay, there we go. Nope. That lump is not in the right spot. I gotta... Gotta shave it down. Man, the perspective here really is weird, isn't it? Oh, it looks so good, though. Okay, no, I shaved too much. Okay, I think that should be good. So now I just gotta turn this into a straight line, and, you know, maybe I should stop making things hard on myself and just use the line tool. I was resisting somewhat because I knew that it would mean that I kind of have to redraw the white line I've got there, but, you know, I think it's probably worth it in this case. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna do the same thing here, but I need a smaller brush. In that case, you know what? If I'm already gonna do that, I'm gonna erase the line entirely and put it back. That size good? I think so. There we go. I choose to make my life a little easier today. I want to get a little bit better about using my tools, too. Until now, I'd largely just always drawn everything myself without too much use of tool here, but no. I gotta use the tools a little better. All right. Oh yeah. My helpers need to go away now. Okay. It's okay. They served their purpose, and they did it very well. Black line time. Here we go. I don't want this line to be too... Whoops. Thick. I want to reference Bibi's cake again. Alright, come here. Bring out the cake. Okay, so it's got a little bit of frosting dripping over the side. I should draw that first. How do I want to handle that? Okay, I'm gonna do it on the frosting layer. Okay, so there's gonna be like a little bit of frosting kind of coming off the side here, and then it drips. And I want to try to keep the lines fairly straight. So I'm probably gonna have to do some shenanigans like I do with the mouth. Yeah, I know exactly how to go about this. So we let it drip, and then it comes into a ball here. So I'm not always going to do it like that. Sometimes I'll do it like this. We'll have another one kind of like this. And they should get bigger as I come forward. As you can see, I'm still sketching it pretty messily. And then afterwards, I'll go and clean it. Okay. So right now, I just want to get the big picture in. Does that look about right? I think so. Just comparing it to the cake in her intro, her stream starting screen, and I think this works. So now I just gotta smooth it out. Fortunately, I don't think I have to do anything super complicated here. Just enough to make some nice looking frosting. With, of course, no curved edges. Reminding myself before I forget again, because if I don't, I totally will. Fighting my nature all the way here, but you know what? It's alright. Gotta put my brain in its place. It serves me, not the other way around. Okay, yeah. This is gonna be good. I actually think even this little change has already made the cake look a little bit more delicious. So, I'm happy. Okay. Yeah, and then I can get the black lines around this on the cake layer, and that'll make my life nice and easy here. Then we can draw some strawberries. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna be able to finish the cake with no trouble. I think I might even be able to get most of the spoon. I'm not gonna try to get all of the spoon until I draw the hand, though. So this is only gonna be like the front part of the spoon, the spoony part where the cake is, not the handle. And the handle, I think I'll get once I draw the rest of the hand. You know, that sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. I think I can do it like that. Just because, like, the hand is on top of the spoon, so I always like to try to get the things on top first. It helps me out. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I kind of like the way that this looks like it's falling over the edge there. I think that's kind of neat, so I'm gonna do it like that. And then I want to make sure that this goes, like, way far back prospectively. So something like that. I'm pretty sure the perspective is a little bit off here, but I think it looks okay. We'll see how the me of tomorrow feels about it. The bright side is that I think I have the edge of the cake pretty good. So if I'm worried about it, which I think I am, I could go and do the spoon first and then see how I feel about this frosting in 5 minutes. You know what? I think I will do that. That sounds good. We'll see if I think this is any good after I finish up the spoon. Okay. So I'm gonna not look at it for a little bit. In fact, I'm gonna hide the layer entirely, so this way I can't, and I can still safely work on things in this area. Okay. Let's see, I need to hide some stuff in the background here, because the shape is gonna be slightly in the way while I'm figuring out the shape of the spoon. Am I happy with the shape of the spoon? Quite. So I'm just gonna smooth it. This is where things are gonna get interesting. You know what? I better stay zoomed out, actually. Because what I gotta do is I need to figure out how to turn these curves into straight lines. And there's gonna be some parts that are a little bit broken and whatnot, and that's fine. Because this is gonna be like where the ribbon potentially covers up some parts. And her hands cover up things down here. So it's gonna look a little weird. And we get to see Bibi's neon green arm stub. I'm sure that exists just like that on her model, right? So yes, I do want the line to get thicker as I go up. I do think that is correct. I think that will show the perspective nicely. And I want it to be flat on the end. That, I think, will make it look more spoon-like. And what is this? Cake residue. Okay. Okay, so I think that's how I'm gonna straighten everything out. That looks pretty good to me. What do spoons look like again? Alright, I had to check these things. So that this way, I'd be able to get a nice little, I don't know, the part of the spoon that goes down. I don't know if those have specific names, but there you go. I want to make sure the cake looks like it's nice and cradled within. Thinking about how I want to handle this part. I think I do want something like this. I want the cake to look inside of it. So I will probably be having a little bit of cast shadow from the cake. But I do think it is more important that it looks like the cake is sitting in the spoon. And that's a little hard to capture with only 2 colors. Like, no shading. But I must, because I do not want the kind of shading that would be required normally. And like a nice little gradation or something. No, not what I'm going for here. But I think that this looks pretty good. So now I'm going to kind of focus on getting the parts that I think should have a thicker line, having that thicker line, and I will straighten it out after. So this is letting us see that this is the side of the spoon. Whereas over here, it will have a line, but it's going to be much thinner. Because it represents just the edge of the spoon, as opposed to any kind of 3D effect. So there we go. I think that looks like it's sitting in the spoon. I'm just staring at it for a second and making sure that I like what I see. But yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and smooth that out, and then I can check on the frosting. You know, sometimes it's just good to look away from something for a little bit. I think I like this. I like it a lot. Okay. So, you know, maybe I should make my life easy again and just use the line tool. I should do that more often. Let's do it. Let's try to save some time and effort here, continuing my personal practice to draw faster. Thought I set you to erase. There we go. I will probably have to touch up some of these edges, but you know what? That's all right. I can do that. I will use the tool to help, as, you know, one should. Tools are there to help you. Make things easy. Sometimes, I think in the back of my head, all the stuff that I used to hear about how much digital is cheating still sticks in my head more than I'd like to admit. There used to be a pretty big anti-digital sentiment before it kind of became mainstream. It was pretty wild, honestly. But I like digital. I can't gush about what it can do for you enough. Makes me very happy. Definitely my preferred medium by a long shot. Oh no, I shouldn't draw you from there. You gotta go all the way to the end. Yeah. From here to here. There we go. That's better. Alright, and now I'll do the same thing for these inner shadows. I think it'll be much easier with the line tool. Hello there, pizza. Welcome back. And yeah, I think that's normal. Just like people that I've seen people that like to use mixed media, for example, that do watercolors and pastels. That's a pretty combination that I have seen. And indeed, they work very differently. But I think that kind of thing is pretty fun. I really do. Just using whatever tool is best for the job. And for me, since, I am also a programmer, and I have just always loved computers, digital just made sense for me. Yeah. There's lots of different options out there. I'm honestly not too familiar with a lot of the differences because I've tried a fair number of things, but none of them just quite clicked with me. So I just stuck with my computer. I do love my computer. It is my friend. I try to take good care of it. Alright, let me get the line thickness in here a little bit better. Means I will have to touch up this corner, but that's okay. Oh, so that's right. I shouldn't do this with my tablet. I should do it with my mouse. There we go. Right about there. That's about the thickness of the line I want. I want this one to be pretty thin. Oh. Thought I let go. When I did not. So I was momentarily confused. As much as I do like computers, they are rather silly sometimes. Okay, then I just touch up some of these parts manually, and all should be well. Okay, and I do have to touch up in there a little bit. So I will get that separately. Okay. Let's see, this one might be a little hard to get with the line tool, but that's okay. I'll just do some extreme touching up at the end. I'll use a fairly small brush here. Okay, so there we go, and then, just all the way around, one more time. I definitely got to use this more for the styles that require many a straight line, because man, is this much easier. I think there might be something to be said for my more organic hand-drawn lines, but I'm not going for organic here. I am going for super straight. So much straight line. You can't believe it. All right. Went outside the lines a little bit there. Let's fix that. And then I just see a couple little spots there that I just messed up. I'll have to double check and make sure that I like the way that these don't quite match up. I think I do. I probably have enough information to check now. I've kind of fixed some of the parts here. Kind of don't, actually. Okay. I will have to fix that then. All right, let's do it. Let's do it better. So let's see, you need to kind of line up with this. So a little bit more like that, and then I need a black spot from, let's see, here. Let's call it here to about here, and then from here to about here, and here to about here. And then across the top here, here to here. Okay. And hopefully that'll fix the issues I was seeing. Yes. I do feel like the black part is a little bit big, so I think rather than redraw the whole thing, I'm just going to take the inside here. And I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller. This will require touching up in some places, but that's fine. I can do that. I think I just wanted a little bit more gold. Okay, there we go. Go around one more time here. And hopefully that'll do it, and then I can check to make sure I still like the cake frosting. Make sure the cake frosting still looks nice and delicious. Oh, you're locked. Oh. Transparency mask shenanigans! Why you gotta be like this? That's okay. You know, I don't want to mess with you. Transparency mask is fine until further notice. So yeah, I have a transparency mask on this spoon for the ribbon that is currently invisible. So, and I think also for her thumb and stuff, which are also invisible. So yeah, I don't want to touch it right now. It's fine the way it is, at least for now. We'll see if I have to make any changes when the time comes. Okay, now it all meets back up. And I just gotta touch things up all around the edge here, where I kind of tore it apart. It's okay, it's a good way to treat your art. Rip out its guts. And destroy everything you don't like. Tear it up. It'll be great. Okay, but I still think that was way easier than trying to do it without the line tool, so I will keep that in mind. You know, much like I'm trying to use transparency masks a little bit more often, so that this way I will have a little bit more flexibility for experimenting. I think I would also like to use the line tool for straight lines, because that's literally what it's there for. I want to try to make my life as easy as possible. Alright, now I kind of want to fix up this side. Because, you know, it got torn apart quite a bit too. There we go. Let's see, are all my corners pretty corner-like? Are they nice and pointy? This guy could use a little bit more point. This guy too. Okay, back over here. Okay, no, that didn't actually take that long. I thought for sure that the spoon and the cake would take me quite a bit. So I'm happy that even with all the changes I had to make to her face, that I should be able to get them done today. At least up into the ribbon. The ribbon was the last thing that I planned to do for the spoon for now. Okay, frosting. Do I still like it? Yes. Yes, I do. I still like it. Alright, we'll put some black around the cake then. Here we go. I want this to be relatively thick. Like, not super thick. But I also kind of want it to double as shadows from the frosting to give them a little bit more presence. So it's going to be reasonably thick. I always like to think very carefully about how thick I want these lines to be. And I try to come to a very deliberate decision. So the bits on the bottom and over on the side facing Bibi are going to be a bit thicker, and then I will make them a little bit thinner, like right through here. Just a little bit, though. So that'll give things a little bit more depth, too. I think it'll look pretty good. Once all is said and done. Okay. Yeah, I like this. I think this is nice. I'll go ahead and zoom out and double check it, but oh yeah, that's great. I like this. I have been looking at the thumbnail for a lot of things, but I am trying to make a point to zoom out to check things if I'm not entirely sure. Like, when I'm able to stay zoomed in like this, it's because I largely already have everything drawn. I've checked all of the decisions. But here, with these black lines, I'm actually adding a new element. So I'm trying to make a point of going back to check it all out after adding a new element like that. Because there's been times where I am technically adding a new element, but it's kind of similar to things that I've already done, so I just decide to trust myself, and it doesn't go quite so well. So, you know, trust, but verify. The most recent example I can think of was when I was drawing Malice's gloves. I put a bunch of folds on them because I thought clothing folds would look very dramatic, but it just looked busy and messy when I zoomed out to check it, and I had spent a long time getting those lines like just right. And if I had zoomed out sooner, after getting the basic gist down, I would have saved myself a lot of time. So, I've tried to learn from my mistakes. It's a good way to be. I'll always be thinking. Okay. I do my best, but you know, sometimes I do repeat the same mistakes. I'm trying to be more cognizant of them. Like, recently when I was drawing Leia, I realized that I just have a habit of drawing the face a little bit long. And I didn't always notice until after I rendered the hair and tried to line everything up with it. And so I was realizing, you know, maybe before I render the hair, I should start by making sure that the nose and everything is in a good spot. Like, I can still rough out the hair and try to get the general gist, but before I start smoothing out the edges, maybe I should make sure the nose is in the correct place, because I do base a lot of my proportions on where I put the nose, actually. The eyes and the nose. So I am trying to make a point of doing that, but I made the same mistake over and over again. And this is where recording myself drawing has actually been a godsend, especially, you know, actually streaming it, since I do try to talk a lot. I try to talk through, like, every action that I take. And I just kept noticing, oh, I keep saying these same things over and over again. Maybe I have a problem. It can be hard to notice. It really can be. And I tried to pay attention to that with the off-stream drawing that I finished today and will be uploading after stream. Still very excited. And I did make sure that her nose and stuff was good before I rendered the hair, and it worked really well. So I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna keep doing it until it stops working for me or I find something better. It's gonna be great. Still very hopeful that I can upload a couple of speed paints shorts, you know, like twice a week. And maybe as I get faster, 3. Ooh. See how it all works out? Let's see, I don't remember if there's anything behind the cake here. So I'm not going to put a line around the edge for now. Because if there is, then I want to put the line on that thing, and if there isn't, then... Actually, I can check that. Let's see, does her body overlap anything here? Hands doesn't look like it. Yeah, sleeves, no. Yes, her arm does. Okay, good. So that means I don't need any lines there. My instincts were good. Okay. So there we go. Let's get these. I think I want to do the strawberries, because I think that they'll add a lot to the perspective. I mean, you can see how weird they look. I think it's fantastic. They just need to be scaled and skewed into good spots. Probably somewhat individually. So I'm going to start with the big one in front here. I think their size difference is quite good, with this one being just much larger than the others. I'll put a bigger gap between these two, because as things kind of recede into the background, they appear to get closer together. Just, you know, basic perspective here. Okay. Yeah, we're doing good. So I'll just place him, and there we go. I think the rest will just have to be drawn. And let's see, actually, this one needs to be taller. There we go. But yeah, I think the rest is just going to have to be drawn. That's fine. I can draw it. I'll keep it pretty close to the edge here. A little bit closer than these two strawberries are to each other. Actually, looking at it, maybe I should have drawn the lines after the strawberries, because some of those strawberries are going to need lines. Oh well. Order of operations a little bit off. It's all good. Okay, so now I need to figure out how I want to turn everything into straight lines, because I don't want them to look quite like that. So let's see, they need to be kind of like pointy at the top. Maybe like that. We'll see how I feel about it. All I know is that the top should be kind of leaning backwards a little bit. And just due to the perspective I'm going for. Yes, perhaps. I think those look like strawberries. And then, let's see, what did the inside of strawberries look like? Is it really like that? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna take this artist's word for it. So we get something kind of like this. This is probably gonna be another thing where I use the line tool to really get things right. Okay. But before I zoom in and smooth everything, I want to make sure I like what I drew. So I'm gonna go draw everything from out here. I might have to, like, redo some stuff, but, you know, that's okay. I can do that. Because at least then I'll zoom in and I'll be able to trust everything. And it'll be beautiful. Let's see. You know what? I don't like that. I'm gonna back it up. I think I'll still keep that shape. But I want to do it a little bit more cleanly. There we go. And now with this line going down the middle, I can kind of feel out my shape a little bit better. There we go. And then another one kind of in the middle here. And this will look better once that line goes away. And this one's going to be a little bit more extreme about it. Okay, and then kind of just like the idea of some like lines going around like that. Just some little guys. Little tiny texture lines. Okay. I don't know if they look like strawberries. Okay, I'm gonna go look up what actual strawberries look like. Just to be fair, I don't really eat strawberries, so... Okay. Okay, yeah. I think I have an idea that'll work better. I see what the original artist was going for, but no. This is why sometimes it's better just to go to the source. So instead of that, what I think I want to do... Okay, so we'll have... Kinda... a dark spot here, kinda going up into this. And I'm just gonna make them super simple. And then, you know, just little lines coming out and around with an outline at the end. And then I think part of the reason that strawberries are able to look kind of delicious is because besides the red, they also have juicy highlights. So I'll put some juicy highlights in too. Okay, just checking my strawberry references again. But no, I think that should be workable. And then maybe just... You know what? Maybe I should do it like this instead. Make the black part a little smaller. No. I like it better with the big black part. I just do not think they look sufficiently delicious, so I'm going back to look for what I can do to make it a little better. Because while I don't mind making the cake look a little dangerous, I think it suits the style just fine. I still want it to look kind of yummy. Oh yeah, and there also needs to be strawberries on the other side. I almost forgot. We still see a little bit of the first two, I think. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to work that out, so I'm going to save that for the me of, like, 5 minutes from now, and I will let her figure it out. I think the center might be just a little bit too black. So maybe if I add another layer of red in here, instead of the white. Like I said, right now I just don't think that they look sufficiently delicious, and that is a travesty. So I would like to fix it. Okay. I think that's a little better. And then we have the nice little moist highlight. And maybe I add a couple more little moist highlights instead of the black lines. They're just white. I think that might make it look a little bit wetter. Let's find out. And if I feel the need to outline them in black too, that's fine. I can do that. Okay, yeah, I think I like this. I think this works for me. So I'll go ahead and, you know, start smoothing it all out. So I'm gonna do something a little bit different here. I'm still gonna use my line tool. I have learned my lesson. It is useful and nice, and I want to let it shine a little more. I'm gonna go all the way across. I'm gonna let these strawberries kind of line up properly. And I feel like the cake is not doing well there, so let's straighten this out too. Okay, so with that, I can get rid of any excess in the middle. Let's go ahead and I'll hide the frosting for a little bit. I think I know roughly where the top of this is, so I should be able to work out the perspective okay, in theory. We'll see how I do. All right, don't use the tablet. Use your hand. Use the mouse. Okay, and once again, I kind of want the tops to line up. So I'm going to go all the way across here. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Do I want it to go down a little? Does that look good? I think so, but I think I want it to go a little further out. Yes, I think I like that. And then, oh, not using the line tool there. There we go. Just down. Okay. There. And, you know, the rest will be cleaned up at my leisure. I'll do a little bit right now. I might as well. Because I know these parts will not be being used. Nor will anything under the frosting. Okay. Now for the next one. Okay, so I still got my line tool. I want it to be a little bit skewed, so I want to go kind of like this, I think. I thought that would be a line, but you know what? Eraser tool's fine. I needed to erase the outside there anyway. Okay, there we go up to the top. Kind of comes out a little from, I think right about there is going to be a great spot for it. And down. Eraser. And I will, you know, touch it up when I feel like it. Make sure all my angles are the way I want them to be and all that. But there we go. I think that'll look good once I'm able to touch it up. Now this guy. Make his backside a little bit narrower than the others. Okay. Get my eraser. Go over everything once more. Just to get rid of some of the excess nearby. Make sure that the angles are the way I want them to be and all that good stuff. There we go. Okay. Now I think I go back to brush. At least until it's time to do the inside. But now that I know what the inside is going to look like, I think I'm probably going to clear everything that I did there. Just because I think it'll be easier to do with my line tool while things are nice and fresh. But for now, I want to focus on the outsides. That this way I can lock the layer and I don't have to worry about anything anymore. Never have to worry about going outside the lines again. Let's see. No. I need to fix the bottom here. There we go. I just didn't like how close to the edge of the cake this one was getting. I didn't think that looked right. Okay. So I will be very deliberate in my construction here. And you know what? I think before I go in and deal with the center parts of all of these guys here, that I'm actually going to define the outside of these guys showing on the side there. First, gotta clear everything. So even though I'm killing it, it was very worthwhile. Their lives had meaning. Because I got to make sure that I actually liked what I was putting down there, and I do. So now when I go and draw it for real, I will have my thoughts clarified, and I will be able to do that. Oh, I'm using the tablet. Let's not do that. And so I will know what I want to put there, and it'll be great. And I don't think I could have done that without getting the big picture first and just kind of scribbling it on messily. That's why I say, you know, I killed them, but it's okay. There was a reason for it. There was a reason that they got to exist in the first place, and they fulfilled their purpose magnificently. I thank them for their sacrifice. You know, it's like lab animals, where we get to learn some really cool stuff. But generally, we have to do pretty terrible things. Okay, and I think that's fine for those guys. Let's turn the frosting back on. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the things that I think are a little bit harder to draw and kind of go from there. Let's see, that'll be kind of the center part. The black part. And I think the line around the edge and from the frosting will be last. Okay. So I'm gonna let this center part... Oops. Didn't realize I had you set to erase still. I will let the center... I told you not to be on erase. I will let the center part... Why is it still set to erase? How bizarre. Oh, whatever. I did the thing. Okay. All is well? All is well. Okay, fourth time's the charm, I guess. Now that I figured out why Krita was making everything erase. Anyway, I'll start with the middle part. And from there, I will carve out the part that will be red. Gotta try to follow the shape I have for the strawberry here. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll do each section together. So about here... There we go, and... There we go, and I'll do the same over here. Let's see, how's that gonna work on these guys? Dear Lord. Something like that, I think that works. I'm just gonna kind of fudge it over here, I think it'll be fine. Just because, I don't know, the angle is so extreme that I unironically do think it will be fine. Okay. And just color it in. Over here too. Okay. And now I will get that nice little red center. For this, I actually want the size of my brush to be the size of the line that I want to use there, since I do still want to put a little black spot in there. Although I think I just was having a little slit, right? Okay, it doesn't matter then. Never mind. Never mind. So I still want it to be about parallel. And I will definitely have to sharpen those corners. They must be sharp enough to cut someone. Okay, so something like that. But it's okay, I do feel like my heavy use of the line tool for all this is saving me a lot of grief. And I wish I had done it sooner. Rather than trying to get all those straight lines just totally freehand. It was kind of a nightmare, you know? I have to remember that my tools are my friends. Okay, and then over here... I think over here is just going to be very different. I think all I'm going to do there is line the bottom with red. And that I will just draw. I do think it'll be easier if I just draw it. In theory. Okay, I have a spot that I missed right there. There we go. All right. And before I add the little black slit in the middle, I think I would like to sharpen those corners a bit. They're kind of soft. Definitely could not cut yourself on those rounded corners. And that's just not right here. Gotta turn it all into nice, sharp edges. Beautifully sharp edges. Okay. And out here, too. Everything must be nice and sharp. It's very important. That's kind of the downside to the line tool, I guess. Maybe it works better if I use a square brush. I will try it at some point. But I do find that sometimes when I use the cube brush, it just has this weird kind of aliasing effect that I don't like. It has its time and place, but for the most part, I have not had very good luck with it. But I'll go ahead and try it. I mean, it's always worth experimenting, right? always got to try things. It's important. I'll never know the answer if I don't try it. My brain will try to convince me that it knows without trying, but brains are liars, and they think that they're smarter than they actually are. So, I don't want to take my brain's word for it. I must see it with my own 2 eyes. I just find it so funny, the amount of things that people can have opinions on when they have never even interacted with it. Funny in a little bit of a sad way. Like, just for a non-controversial one of just... If you ask someone what climbing a mountain is like, or, you know, a specific mountain, like what climbing Mount Everest would be like. Well, I don't know about you, but I've never done it before, but my brain immediately starts coming up with ideas as to what climbing Mount Everest would be like. Even though this is not something I have ever experienced, I will probably never experience it. So I'm just like, brain, how do you know? Brains are silly. They will try to convince you that a lot of things are true. And I've been telling myself this a lot. Because like I said, I've been getting creative brainworms lately, and you know that they are whispering many mean things into my brain directly. Just about, you know, how maybe this person does it better, or whether or not what I do is any good, or this, that, and the other thing. And like I said, they're rather mean. I'd like to kick them out, but they've got a pretty sturdy nest in there right now, so it's probably going to take some time. I'm sure I'll be able to eventually. So, you know, I just tell myself that my brain is a liar and it doesn't know anything. It can try to make assumptions. It does its best. It's just trying to help me. It's just doing a bad job. Okay, there we go. I think that is a nice, tasty looking center there. I don't really think I can do it with the ones over here, so I'm not going to try. And from here, it's just time for the white parts. I'm a little bit scared, so I'm going to go do those on another layer. So this way I can just easily erase. And I'll just draw a bunch of little straight lines in white. And I think that will do what I want. Let's say this is why I want to do it on a new layer. Because I did not trust myself to not overlap the black part. Now I just don't have to worry. I can overlap the black part all at once. And all I have to do is draw them. And then I can select the black part real quick and clear it. It'll be great. It'll be easy. Look at me, using selections like a real digital artist. And I have, like, never done this before. I've been using it more lately for a lot of, like, lighting stuff, and I think it's related to why I was able to finish my off-stream drawing so quickly. So, I am learning. This year is the year of speed for Planckera. May I be able to draw many wonderful things this year. Like, I know I always end a stream with, hoping that you guys can create something wonderful today. I feel the same way about myself, actually. I, too, always hope that I can create something wonderful. I don't like it. Let's try again. Thinking of creating something wonderful, that's not it. But I have an idea. I've had really good luck with this effect. So this is one where I do use my drawing tablet. Okay. Because I want the lines to start, getting a little thinner as they go out. And I want to vary up the length and the width of all the lines, and it makes sense to do that. With the power of pressure sensitivity. So I use the mouse when I want to make sure I don't have any pressure sensitivity. And use the tablet when I want to have the pressure sensitivity. That's about it. So in this case I do, so here we are. Before I do any more, I'm actually going to finish off this first one, since I just did the thing and hated it. I want to make sure I like this one, but I gotta get the whole thing in before I can really verify, so here we go. But I've had good luck with this effect and other things. I like to use it for, like, rays of light on the moon. So, we're gonna have a juicy strawberry. I think I can probably do a juicy strawberry effect. Oops. Wrong layer. Oh yeah, that's much better. That is like the edgiest juicy strawberry I have ever seen. I am pleased. Okay. That was totally worth redoing. Alright, let's go back and do it again. Before I do, gotta get rid of that guy. So I'm trying to vary up the length and the width of it all a lot. Because I do think that that's what makes this kind of effect look really nice, of just when things are all very different, it makes it look more organic. I've said a few times that I think that the way to make things look organic and not man-made is to make them all look very different. Whereas if you make things very geometric and the same size, width, and all of that, it'll start looking very artificial. If that's what you're going for, that's exactly what you want to do. So, there's been times when I'm drawing, like, circuitry patterns. And I try to make sure that they are the same length, width, and are doing very similar things. But that doesn't apply to drawing a strawberry. Strawberry should look organic. So, I gotta make sure to vary things up. Or, when I do my stained glass drawings, yeah, I try to keep everything looking very samey, very geometric. Because that'll make it look a little bit more artificial and man-made. And stained glass is artificial and man-made, so that's perfect. Whenever I make comments like this, it's not really a judgment on how things are done. And I've even seen people that can do some very geometric things for trees or other things that exist in nature, but do it very geometrically, and it's beautiful. It really just depends on what you're going for. So that's why I wanted my tutorial series to focus on why certain things happen, rather than just saying, okay, here's how you do 2-point perspective. You draw your vanishing points and stuff happens, and I can't remember the last time I used proper vanishing points, to be honest. really only if I'm drawing furniture or architecture. And to be fair, it's been a long time since I've drawn either of those things, so there you go. No, I don't want it on the bottom. What am I doing? Autopilot. Stop it. Me talking about how you gotta think about things, and then I immediately stop thinking about things and make a terrible mistake. Don't be like me. I guess I shouldn't call it a terrible mistake. It wasn't that bad. It was still silly. Very silly. Okay. And there we go. We got some tasty strawberries. Yeah, I like these. I think this works. Let's go ahead. I'm going to merge my layers, and then I'm going to draw my black line going around the edge. I'll even reduce their opacity so that this way I can get the shadow from the frosting looking nice. I think this time I'll just put it directly on the strawberries instead of on the cake. I don't really trust myself with the line tool for something like this, so I'm gonna trust my hand. Maybe that's also a mistake. But it's okay, I've been practicing drawing things like this. I have, and it's been going well, and I want to continue practicing my smoothing accuracy with just getting the lines right the first time so that this way I don't have to, pull a bunch of shenanigans to get it right. Like I said, this year is the year Planckera learns how to draw faster, and I think this kind of thing will help a lot. So I think for a time, as long as I keep insisting on doing stuff like this and trying to get it right in one stroke, I will draw a little bit slower. But as I start getting better, I think it'll speed me up in the long run. That's the hope, at least. But I just got to accept that little bit of pain at the beginning, while I'm getting started and kind of letting my brain figure it out. It actually reminds me of when I started using Krita. I was drawing in Photoshop before Krita, and the way the brush is set up by default in Krita, the basic size that I use for like everything, the size jitter on it is way bigger than it was in Photoshop. So I can make very, very thin lines and make very, very thick lines without changing the size of my brush like this. And it took me a really long time to get used to that. It's like Photoshop did it a little bit, but not nearly to the extreme that you can do with Krita. By default, that is. I'm pretty sure I could have adjusted it in Photoshop if I was so inclined. But I just never really thought about it. And then I saw it in Krita, and I just like, holy cow, I can't control this brush at all. And rather than adjust it, I was like, no, you know what? I think I can do some cool things with this if I get used to it. And so I got used to it. My brain adapted, it learned the new thing. But man, getting there was really hard. And it took me a little while. Another thing that I kind of feel the same way about was actually learning how to use my tablet. Because I don't use a screen tablet. Before I got a tablet, I drew basically exclusively on paper with a mechanical pencil. And so I was used to looking at the paper and seeing my mark on the paper. But I don't have a screen tablet, so when I draw on my tablet, I am not looking at where my hand is at all. I don't even see my hand. It is down and out of the way where I will never see it at all. And that was really hard to do at first, of just moving my hand and not really knowing what's happening and not knowing where it corresponds to on the tablet, or where, you know, the spot on the tablet that I'm hitting corresponds to on the screen more accurately. That was really hard. It took me a little while to get used to it, but I did. And now I can do these things. So this is just another thing I gotta get used to. And there we go. We have some strawberries. I don't think I'm gonna outline the lines. I think I'm gonna let them stay like this. I will outline these strawberries, though. I forgot about them. I'm so sorry, my little strawberry friends. I didn't mean to forget about you. Okay, and I don't have to get the bottom because this part, it's already up against black, so that's fine. Okay, and then after this, we got the little dollops of frosting. Okay. So that ended up taking me a little bit longer than I expected. But you know what? It's okay. I think they look really nice. Very edgy. The edgiest strawberries I have ever seen. So, now for these two little dollops of frosting. Let me go look at my reference again. I think I need to make them a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to clear that entirely, actually. I'm just going to start again, because what I think I need to do, I'm going to try to keep the straight lines now, but I need to define the bottom. I just don't have it the right size. They are actually quite large, now that I look at my reference of her cake again. I hate it. Let's just use the line tool. Okay, so they sit pretty far back in the cake. With my weird perspective, I think that'll take it to about here. And I'll take it just a little bit off, again, just for perspective reasons. These are not parallel. I'm gonna make them parallel. Okay, so that should be good. And I'm kind of defining the space that they're all gonna take up. Okay, so right around there I think should be good. I might need to send this guy out a little bit more. I will cross that bridge when I get there. Let's just plop in the start here. Because they're a little bit more rectangular looking than I expected. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave things kind of messy. Okay, so this guy, yeah, I think I'm gonna bring him out just a little further. This is just, you know, due to the perspective being weird. Maybe I didn't want them to actually be super parallel. Maybe I actually wanted them to be more angled like that. But there we go. I think this looks all right. And then we curl up and around. I will leave it curved for now, while I'm just checking my size and the general gist of what I feel like I'm going for. Directly contradicting what I said just a few minutes ago, but you know, don't worry about it. I change my mind all the time. Okay, so now I'm kind of figuring out the edge, because I think this looks okay. Making him, you know, look a little bit lightning adjacent. I think I dig it. Okay, and I think I just want to adjust the perspective on them just a little. I just kind of want to push it back a little bit, and then maybe have that one just be a little smaller. There we go. Oh, that's good. I like this. Okay. Stretch. So this will let me finish off the cake. And I think that'll probably be the last thing I do, so I did get the cake and spoon like I wanted, so I'm happy. I was hoping to get the ribbon on the spoon too, unfortunately, but you know, it is what it is. Let's draw some frosting. Okay, I gotta hide the spoon for a second, because there's some black parts that are gonna throw me off while I'm drawing this. Okay. But I like this. I think it's gonna be great. Okay. So I might get a little quiet while I just try to finish up this part. Just to make sure I get it done. But I think that they look really nice. And it still has that nice stylistic edge that I like so much about this style. And I feel like at this point, you know, with the head and the cake and most of the spoon done, that's like the main focal points done. And I do feel like things speed up a little bit after I get the main focal points done. It was always funny because I was really worried about whether or not I was going to be able to finish my off-stream drawing today. Because I still had... Because I had finished the face, which in this picture is probably a good 90% of it. But I still had, you know, a lot of her body to do. I had her sleeves and arms to do. And this will make more sense after I upload it. And I'd appreciate if you guys could go take a look. Tell me what you think. Maybe leave a like if you enjoy it. Please help me get adopted by the algorithm. I'd really appreciate it. It would also be really helpful if you could leave a like on my stream if you're watching. And subscribe to the channel. I am trying to get adopted by the YouTube algorithm. And these things do help me a lot. But yeah, I still had quite a few things to do, but it's like I had finished the most important parts already. So there were a couple of things that were a little slow going. But since so much of it was already done, you know, the most important parts, I was able to finish it no problem. And I might put a little highlight on these. I think that might be cute. Let's try it. I'm gonna, before I do the other one, I'm gonna try to put a little highlight on it. No, I like it better without. Okay. It was worth a shot. But no, I like it better without. So one more little spot to smooth, and I think that'll do it for today. So you can expect a little short up, probably... Yeah, I suppose I'll do it right after stream. So, you know, within probably about 20 minutes after I end. I was considering whether I should save it for later, but you know what? No, I think I'll just do it now. Okay. So there we go, almost all the way around. Got a little part sticking out right there that I gotta shave back, but it's all good. And I think I want this line at the bottom to be a little thicker than the rest, just to give it a little bit more presence. And I'll go from there. It's kind of weird to be doing the line around it first, but this object is so simple that I think it works. Just a tiny little dollop of frosting. I think it's very cute. Okay, and there we go. Yeah, that looks really good. And I think it's fine that they don't really look exactly the same. It's, you know, it's frosting. It's gonna make different shapes. So I'll go ahead and turn on all my layers now. And we'll see how things are coming along. The sleeve can come. The nails I haven't done yet. So actually, I have, haven't I? No, I haven't. Okay, never mind. We'll leave them off. Okay, and the shape. Not that one, that one. Okay, and yeah, looking at it after stream, I think I fixed all the problems I had with the face. We'll see how I feel about it tomorrow. Sometimes it takes a day for me to really realize that something's wrong. Let's get comfy here. But yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I think I'm happy with my cake. It definitely looks like it's coming right at us, I think. Okay, I want to make one small edit to the cake, and thus to the strawberry on the cake too. I think I have it a little bit too straight on that one angle. so this will definitely mess up a strawberry. That's alright. I think I can probably angle them without destroying everything. I hope. They just need to be skewed a bit. It's fine. In theory. Okay, that's totally messed up the lines on them, so you know what? I think I will go and redo that before I end, because I want the cake to be done. Let me make sure I actually like this now. But yeah, I thought it was just a little bit too straight. It needed a little bit more skew in order to look like it's right at us. And I think that's better. So let's see, next time I plan to do the ribbon, the hand, and probably the rest of the spoon. We'll see how much of that I can get through. But I am hopeful. Today went pretty dang well, I'd say. It went really well for writing before stream and finishing my video and everything too. So you know what? Maybe I can clean out those brain worms before they start hatching new eggs. Just gotta starve them, you know? And I'll put a few little white lines in there too. I don't need the line tool for that if I don't need it, so I can always just do things manually like that. Okay, but I think the rest looks fine. And then I just need to fill in a spot back here on the spoon, and there we go. All better. Now I don't have to look at the cake being the wrong angle until Sunday. Because I do tend to look at the pictures, you know, if not every day, every couple of days. Just to, you know, see what I want to work on for the next stream. But there we go. I like it. I think it looks pretty cool. I was considering making the spoon round, but you know what? I'm glad that I kept it very straight and very edgy like everything else. I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, next time, ribbon, rest of the spoon, hand, and then maybe I can get the rest of her hair. And then, you know, I just gotta figure out all the nonsense that is her body. So, you know, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I'll have this done. And then I can do the next one. Ooh, we'll see who the next girl I'm gonna draw is. I already know the answer to that, but I'm not gonna share just yet. I'll share when I get closer to the end. But this is where I will be stopping for today, so thank you all for coming. And I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I will see you all tomorrow.